Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 62nd episode of the PB Political Podcast. I'm Eshan Pokhrel. Today I'll be talking about the Alabama House of Representatives 55th District special election, which we have been covering from on the ground here in Birmingham for the last couple of months. We'll be talking really about the race, how it ended up, and we'll be joined by a staffer from the winning campaign to discuss their view of the election, how they felt going through the campaign, and what they hope that their representative will accomplish in Montgomery in the next 3 years. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So the 55th District is a metro district in Birmingham. It stretches across Southside Birmingham, around the University of Alabama in Birmingham, and west into the communities of Fairfield, Ensley, more of suburbs of Birmingham, historically, I guess, neglected, you could say, majority black district, 70%, I believe, 70% black. It is very gerrymandered. You can tell it's a wide district. There's a lot of ground to cover, especially when you get out of the city of Birmingham. But yeah, so that's just the geographic nature of the district. It's been expanded a lot since the redistricting in 2020. So outside of that, there were 7 candidates that went into the primary election. So they had a primary and a runoff for the seat. In the primary, there were 7 candidates. There was Antoine Womack, Kenneth Coachman, Vess Marable, Cara McClure, Phyllis Oden-Jones, Sylvia Swain, and Travis Hendrix. Out of those 7 candidates, Ms. Swain and Mr. Hendrix advanced to the runoff, which was held October 24th, so last week, at the time of recording. And Mr. Hendrix won handily with 65% of the vote and 2,367 votes compared to Ms. Swain's 34.9%. Looking at the raw data, just like from election night, it was interesting because turnout actually increased by 50% from the primary into the runoff, which is actually something that you don't see a lot, but it's always good to have more people come out and vote. This was a lot of media attention centered on the race after the primary. PB Political was a crazy experience. We were the only media on the ground from September all the way into the runoff here, like early September all the way into the end of October, and now into this episode. So we were able to get involved on the ground, write some articles, talk to candidates, and everything of that nature. It was a lot of fun to be able to do that, and I hope if you guys are interested, you can go back and read all of my work at pbpolitical.com under the Alabama House District 55 tab. So at the runoff level, we had Ms. Swain and Mr. Hendrix competing. Pretty messy campaign, and we'll get into it more with our guest when he joins in a couple of minutes. But yeah, pretty messy campaign, actually. There's a lot of back and forth, a lot of name calling, much uglier than one would, I guess, hope. But in the end, Mr. Hendrix ends up winning, and due to the nature of the district, a safe Democratic district, and a lack of a Republican candidate in the field, Mr. Hendrix, Travis Hendrix, is now the next representative from Alabama's 55th District. He's replacing Fred Plump, who resigned over the summer after being indicted in a federal case on bribery and, I believe, racketeering. So a lot of corruption previously, but now we're coming in with Travis Hendrix. And to discuss more about the election and just everything that came along with it, here's Stephen Anthony of the Hendrix campaign. So we'll be right back. And joining us today is Stephen Anthony, staffer on the campaign of Representative-elect Travis Hendrix. So welcome to the podcast, Stephen.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so just take everybody through, I guess, early on your role on the campaign, and also a little bit of how you, early on, how you saw the race and how it, unfolded for y'all.
Yeah, so I'm actually a day one team member. I had just finished working on a county commission special election, and I got the call, and I was like, hey, do you want to come to the kickoff for Travis Hendrix? I had never met the man, didn't know anything about the man. I knew he had run in 2022 for the seat against, at the time, the incumbent Rod Scott against Coach Plum, who ended up winning, and against a few others who ended up running again this time. And so, yeah, we had our campaign kickoff on July 15th in Fairfield. It was just a very interesting experience, like just kind of getting to interact with Travis for the first time, like just very welcoming, very open arms. And then I'll never forget, Eshan, the craziest campaigning experience of my life. They're out there like filming the campaign kickoff video. It's like 11 in the morning, and just a block down the road, pop, 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 like just gunshots, like insane. And like that's kind of when I knew, like, okay, Travis might be the guy. Like, you know, he's out here, he's willing to be out here, whereas other people not be willing to be out here in these types of circumstances. And yeah, I guess the way I saw the race early on was like, it's anyone's game, right? I mean, you got Phyllis Oden-Jones who's running. She came in third in 2022. Travis came in fourth in 2022. Very close right there. And then you got Kenneth Coachman, former mayor of Fairfield. That's kind of a big deal. Cara McClure, citywide, like known for being an activist, obviously related to Pastor Mike. Sylvia Swain, you know, a lot of people running.
Yeah, there's like I guess early on, I remember talking to you over the summer, and you were like, it's winnable, which is like, I guess it's a 7-candidate race. There's a lot of stuff going on. Everyone assumes there's going to be a runoff just of how wide the field is, but it's winnable. And I mean, I think the only thing that's fair, because I mean, like you said, Travis, Representative Hendrix, he finished fourth in the 2022 election, right behind Phyllis Oden-Jones, who barely, like 13, it was like 50 votes, missed the runoff. Something like, it was a ridiculously small amount of votes. And so it stood to reason that there's a big chance that name rec, and also being I didn't mention this, I guess, in the preamble, but he is a sergeant in the Birmingham Police Department. So, and that's obviously Birmingham has a lot of issues with crime, but obviously if you are high ranking, you're probably gonna have some respect. People do respect the law enforcement around here, so it tends to be an advantage electorally, I would say. But yeah, I mean, so y'all kicked it off. How early on, it wasn't much media buzz around this race outside of just who was running. How is that experience campaigning in the early set, getting closer to election day, but also still like in that weird place where no one really, people might know, but they don't care about the election yet. How was that experience for you and the campaign?
It was very interesting because, like, you know, working in different elections before, you know, I never worked on an election with such a big field. And so it's typically like, I mean, you know how it goes. Typically, if you're knocking doors, you go up and it's like either they're going to support you or they're going to say, no, I'm supporting the other person. Now you got to reckon with, I don't know, there's 7 of y'all running. I can't make up my mind right now. Like, and that was just a very common response. I will say, just kind of depending on the neighborhood, you know, very different levels of like success going door to door. Fairfield, the way we looked at it from the beginning is Fairfield is the battleground, just because like we're trying to compete in Fairfield. That's where we kicked off the campaign. Obviously, we put a lot of stock into you know, Fairfield, but then like Phyllis Oden-Jones, current councilwoman in Fairfield, Vess Marable, former councilman in Fairfield, Kenneth Coachman, former mayor of Fairfield. Like, it was always going to be very tight over there, is the way we saw it. And so, like, over there, it was a very different interaction than like in Inslee, where like we go to Inslee and everybody knows this man because he's from Inslee. That's primarily where he served as police officer for a lot of his time. And then that reaction was very different compared to like the east side of the district and like Highland Park and Avondale, where like we go over there, people rock with us, or they say they rock with us. But then, you got Sylvia and Cara also over there being very competitive. And so that's just the biggest takeaway that I had like leading up to Election Day on September 26th was we were really the only campaign that I could tell was like everywhere in the district. Where like from what I saw, like Kenneth Coachman and Phyllis Jones put a lot of stock in the Fairfield, and like we're gonna knock every door in Fairfield. Conversely, Sylvia and Cara put a lot of stock into like we're gonna knock every door in Avondale and Highland Park and all that. We knocked every door everywhere, and it's kind of like what you were saying. Like everyone expects a runoff. Truth be told, I don't think it's not that we didn't expect a runoff. I will say I don't think we expected it to be as close as it was on election night.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think when you look at, I guess looking at like the race itself, when you looked at like the spread, mainly looking at the spread from how people performed in 2022. This is like real data nerd stuff, but like looking into how the election went in 2022, the people that ran for the seat, I think there was 3 of them that ran, or 4 of them that ran twice now. 5. Okay, so 5 of them.
Oh, yeah. 3 that ran twice. Yeah.
3 that ran twice, yeah. Because Hendrix, Odin Jones, and Womack ran it, yeah. So looking at that and just looking like, okay, so they'll probably be strong again. And like doing that, I guess, I'm sure y'all did that, but then also like going in and actually making the rounds and everything is important. But yeah, I think, and like we'll go into like, so like the runoff data, it was 27.9% for Representative-elect Hendrix. Sylvia Swain came in second with 21.4%, and that was interesting. We can talk about the Swain campaign a lot. I know we have both had a lot of experience dealing with them over there. Mainly just because, like, so she came kind of out of nowhere. I mean, I saw her announcement video or post or whatever on LinkedIn, of all places, in July 2023. So no one really knew who she was. She didn't have any public office record or anything in the city of Birmingham. I believe she's from Montgomery, so she's actually not as rooted in the community, just as Travis Hendrix is, Cara McClure, a lot of these people that have positions in the city of Birmingham. So it's a little different candidate, obviously more progressive. She got a lot of national attention, nationwide attention for being potentially the first openly transgender legislator in the state house if she had won. So there's a lot of things working for her, and the main thing that worked for her on that national attention scale is that she brought in money. Like she was fundraising like crazy, more than you would expect in a state house runoff or in a state house special election because it's such a quick turnaround. I think let me try to pull up the pre. I have it somewhere in my article. The pre. So she had about $23,000 going into the first election, the primary election, which is a very high number for a state house race special election. So that was fascinating. I guess, did you guys expect her to be the nominee, or who were y'all preparing for, I guess, most to be the opponent in any runoff? Steven seems to have frozen for a second. We'll be right back. And we're back. So did you hear the question?
Who we were preparing for the most. Yeah. It's almost easier to say who we weren't preparing for, because it's like, again, 7 candidates. It could have been a lot of people, but we kind of knew who wasn't going to be in the mix. There's probably not a nicer way to say that.
You don't have to name names.
I'm not gonna name, but we were definitely preparing heavily for Phyllis Odin Jones and for Cara McClure as like the primary people that we thought would probably be in a runoff. What I'd say as the reason why we weren't preparing for Sylvia was, kind of going off of what you said of like, she kind of positioned herself as like this more progressive candidate, and she did a lot of campaigning in Highland Park, Glen Iris, and Abdel. Well, what we know from 2022 when Travis ran is Travis was out there in 2022 as one, the most progressive candidate in that race, and two, he only won 4 precincts in 2022. He won Inslee, his hometown, and then he won Avondale, Glen Iris, and Island Park. And so it's just like, when you look at it, Sylvia is trying to mostly compete in those 3 precincts. We won those 3 precincts last time. I don't really think anyone expected the big drop that happened from 2022 to this year in those 3 precincts. Whereas Cara McClure came out, one, she's known all over the city. 2, she has like this huge built-up support base, including, I mean, Mike McClure, Pastor Mike, is like huge in this city, well beloved in this city. She came out probably, I think, with the most money, or at least she started out with like the most money. And then Phyllis Jones, again, she came in 3rd last time. I mean, automatically you'd kind of assume that she's your biggest competition. You came in 4th. She came in 3rd. You know, you already know you're going to have to overcome her on some level. And so definitely Phyllis and Cara were who we were expecting.
I think it's fair. Again, it's kind of an interesting trend. Not even just in Al, like really more nationwide than anything. How like candidates with less experience tend to be doing better because people want fresher. I guess it's more of like a who's been in it and who hasn't been type, like who's been in this offices versus who can actually bring a new perspective. It's kind of a trend, obviously culminating in President Trump being elected in 2016, someone who had no experience whatsoever. Probably for good reason, honestly, have no experience, but then winning the presidency out of, frankly, just harnessing rage people had with the people that were elected. Hillary Clinton was the absolute perfect person for President Trump to run against in that regard. And yeah, it's kind of like a similar, I guess it's just that kind of elected official fatigue, maybe, that people have, and that's something that's interesting. I did personally think, obviously I was covering this election, like I said earlier, for People Political, and I did think Phyllis Jones would be in the runoff. I thought she was very close last time, like ridiculously close. Like I have the data right here. She was 48 votes from being second. So like she was really close to being in the runoff last time, and she was still pretty close to being in the runoff this time. She was 30 votes away this time. So really unlucky, 2 times out for Phyllis Jones on that scale. But yeah, now we're in the runoff. This is where the campaign started heating up. And I mean, I don't know what you want to say, but you have just take us through. First thing, when y'all figured out y'all were in the runoff and who y'all were up against, Sylvia Swain, and just like how, without obviously you don't have to go into like your strategy itself, but like where did y'all decide to go into, like how did y'all want to start campaigning to like not just win but win convincingly, which is what you guys ended up doing. Like how did you guys want to like send a message that you guys are the right candidate, or Representative Hendrix is the right candidate for the district, and make it like a fact, basically?
So it's very interesting you asked that because, you know, obviously this week is the 1-week anniversary of the runoff win. And so, you know, I've been reflecting today about where we were the day after the first round. And the day after the first round, forget the day after, just election night. We have all these volunteers, all these like family and friends people in there, and when we get announced in first place, you know, they're all happy, they're celebrating. You really think it was like a victory party, right? Everyone on the campaign, and especially Travis, are deflated, defeated, and mad, like just point blank mad, because for a lot of reasons. It's like, okay, we know we put in the most work. And we got first place by like 6%. Like we come out, we have all these endorsements, like just all of these things that we thought were gonna like lead to not even a first round win, but like 35-40%. It just didn't manifest, right? And so I just remember like for the first from like 8 to like 11, the Wednesday after the election, like just sulking. And then it's kind of like, all right, time to go to work. And so I just know like everybody was making calls. The calls that I was making were very different than like higher up campaign leadership, right? So like I was making calls about volunteers. Come on, I need you. Come knock these doors. Like that's what I was doing. Other people were making calls to elected officials, things like that, to donors. And so I think the strategy just kind of manifested itself around, that we just ran a race, 7 candidates, 6 were black candidates, 1 was a white candidate. The white candidate coincidentally did astronomically well in the white precincts and was not a factor in the black precincts. So simple math would tell you, all right, to win this and to win it big, you just need to go get all of the black voters in all of those black precincts who voted for a different candidate and convince them that, hey, you're the best option, which I think we were all very confident in that strategy, to be quite honest. I think everyone knew that we were going to win every precinct outside of like Glen Iris, Highland Park, and Avondale. I don't think anyone expected that we would win as big as we did in some of those precincts. But just like, I think it's a testament to our get out the vote effort, which was like a big thing. Like, we had people in Fairfield on election day. Like, I think we knocked 500 doors in Fairfield on election day. We had people in North Avondale, like, knocking doors on election day. Just calls, ads. Again, the money, you kind of talked about it a little bit with Sylvia, right? Of like, the money in the state house race was kind of crazy. It was especially crazy for her, but we also raised a lot of money. I think it's very, like, odd to see TV ads at a state house race. We had enough money to run TV ads. We had TV ads, like, on air with Mayor Arrington. I think that was, like, a big part of the strategy of, like, hey, all of these people, we got Mayor Woodfield, we got Mayor Arrington, we got leadership in Fairfield, we got leadership in Midfield, we got all these state house reps, all these state senators. They're all saying, we want to work with this guy. And it worked, so.
Yeah, not to say that you guys didn't raise money. You guys did raise before in the first primary. Y'all did raise like $27,000. Y'all definitely were a fundraising bastion, but I guess the thing about Sylvia's fundraising was that there was a lot of it in the state of Alabama. A lot of it was also, I think more of it was outside. I don't have the exact numbers, but from looking at the filings, it seemed that there were more donors out of state on her campaign than any others, and that's just a factor of being a nationally publicized campaign, and that does make sense. So yeah, you can I think.
So I don't have like the exact out of state and state breakdown, but like for amount spent, I can tell you total amount spent. Sylvia Swain spent $127,000. We spent $97,000. I can tell you on the Swain end, she got about $125,000 from David Hogg's PAC. I forget what it's called, but that's an out-of-state PAC. And then she got $50,000 from the LGBTQ Victory Fund. So, like, but then when you look at her small donor donations, it's like very much in-state. But it's also all across the state. Like, if you go through and look at her campaign finance, it's like Birmingham, Huntsville, Dothan, Montgomery, Tuscaloosa. Like, that's how it looks.
Yeah, and that's just, like, again, that's like a factor of maybe the message she was trying to spread being resonant in other parts of the state, other parts of the country, which makes sense. I think, and I've been hinting at this in my articles, but like this is much more of this is a solid D district, but this is a solid D blue dog district. At kind of like it's a much more of a more conservative Democratic base. A lot of the messaging that Swain ran seemed a little bit too identitarian rather than focused, I feel like, and that was an issue that I personally thought would sink her if she got into a runoff with someone from literally from a big part of the district, like Representative Hendrix. And I guess y'all did do a good job of capitalizing on that. So let's get into some of the fun stuff about how the runoff campaign was for you guys. So, like, how was it dealing with like, honestly, like a very bitter campaign both ways? There's a lot of beef, a lot of shots on Facebook, social media. People were a lot of endorsements going in and out. Let's list some of the endorsements out for the Hendrix campaign going into Election Day. So the biggest one, Mayor of Birmingham, Randall Woodfin. That was shocking. We reported that in September. So that was before the first part, but then as well as Alabama House Minority Leader Anthony Daniels of Huntsville, as well as, and this is a pretty long list, Alabama State Senator Roger Smitherman from Birmingham, Alabama State Senator Linda Coleman Madison from Birmingham, State Representative Rolanda Hollis from Centerpoint, State Representative Ontario Tillman from Bessemer, State Representative Patrick Sellers from Hueyton, Mayor of Fairfield Eddie Penny, and maybe one of the biggest ones, former Mayor of Birmingham Richard Arrington Jr., the first black mayor of Birmingham, I believe that's correct, and also here for 20 years. Here for 20 years, he has a really long road named after him here. So, pretty impressive list of endorsements. Sylvia Swain did not have as many officials endorse her, which is, I guess, another big issue for her. She did get David Hogg, like you said, notable gun control activist. He was actually in Birmingham for the campaign, the election, the weekend, and going into Election Day. I did not see David Hogg on the trail, I must say. But, yeah, so first thing, congratulations on getting this.
He was here.
He was here, yeah. I did not see him, but he was here. Congratulations on all these endorsements and just, like, how it's like having all this stuff going in. How did this all... How was just your experience in that runoff? A 1v1 race, which you've been working on in the commission stuff. How was it to get back to that, and how did it go for you? You take your time, I guess.
I mean, I'm going to say there's two different stories to the runoff. There's the external. I think internally, just working on the campaign, knocking doors after September 26th, like, just for the runoff, was so different because, again, it's like our first election day. We got to compete with all these different people. And so it's like you go knock doors in Fairfield and people are like, I'm for that, you know. Now when you go out, it's like, they're going to come vote for you. And, like, that's just, it was such a frequent response that we got. Like, pretty much everywhere we went, except for some of the eastern parts of the district. And so internally, I think it was a very positive experience, a very good experience. Kind of what you're getting at externally about this bitter campaign is, I think there was just some things that happened that hurt people. I know one of the biggest thing that irked me was the debate call out, the very frequent debate call out, and I'm not gonna put out like a position on it. We should have had a debate or shouldn't have had a debate. I didn't appreciate the manner in which the call out came.
Let me put a little bit of background on that.
I think when you're talking
let me put a little bit of background. So
yeah,
obviously,
go for some background.
So there were, and this actually directly puts me into it because I was the one I invited both candidates to a debate after we get to run off. We wanted to, because we had a debate for the first part of it, and you can read our debate thread that we just went through what happened in that debate. 7 candidates, a lot of stuff. Shout out to the UAB College Democrats for hosting. That was nice of them. It's good to have debate. But then we get into the runoff, 2 candidates. We wanted to get a debate together. I think it's the typical Democratic thing to do in a open primary runoff. So we being PB Political, contacted both campaigns on a debate. You guys at the Hendrix campaign were a little bit more open, I would say, than the Swain campaign. I think both campaigns were kind of just like, honestly, at a point where it's like, okay, we'll go into the runoff with what we have. So we don't need a debate. I guess on one side, y'all maybe felt more comfortable in your position from what you've explained so far, with like being like, oh, we've been hearing very positive things from the western part of the district, the predominantly black part of the district. We're going to take our chances. And then I'm not too sure So I'm not sure what the Swain rationale was. That I didn't get that explained to me. I did not get that explained to me. You guys are, if you're listening, which you might be, probably not, but you're always welcome to reach out to me and try to let me know what your rationale was on this. But I did call Miss Swain a couple times. Didn't get any response. I did text her, and she said that this is after there was a public Facebook call out about your being Representative Hendrix' lack of want to debate. Actually, I did comment on under that because this came after I had asked for a debate, like to both candidates, and got no response. They said at that point the campaign said that in the event Mr. Hendrix agrees to a debate, we will explore all of the available options and keep you in the loop. So didn't really get too many positive vibes from that. And then the debate call happened where they said that, I believe they said, y'all are afraid to debate. Exactly. Is that so that was the words. Yeah, you shaking your head. Yes. Hendrix campaign is afraid to debate. And yeah, so that wasn't great. So yeah, so that's the story behind that. Sorry, but you can continue. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of, going off that afraid comment, by the way, I just checked her Facebook. I just checked the campaign Facebook. It looks like they deleted that post. But that is absolutely what she said.
They did delete it.
That we were afraid to debate. And I'm not going to get into all of the reasons why that is, quite frankly, a very unprofessional and actually just a very bad thing to say to Travis. But first of all, the man is a Birmingham police officer. Afraid to debate. The man, it's Birmingham, Eshan.
I understand.
He's been doing this. He's been doing this for almost 16 years. I don't think if he is comfortable enough to be a police officer in this city for 16 years, I promise you he's not afraid to debate. And it's exactly what you said. It's we were just very comfortable in our position of we've been everywhere. We know we're gonna dominate on this side of the district. We're not very eager to debate. That doesn't mean that it's never a possibility. And again, what you just said, about if they accept, we'll consider it. What are you calling us out for then? That's not the language of you're super eager to debate. That's the language of you're really just trying to get a cheap attack off on people. Or if you were really eager to debate, you could have set something up. You could have hit up Fox. You could have hit up CBS 42. If it really meant that much to you, and she really kept. And this is not a knock on her because I guess she really did just want to debate. But even to the Thursday before the election, she was still talking about, I want to have a debate. And it's who's going to watch a debate 4 days before the election? This is not realistic. And that was just one part of the bitterness, and then I'm sure you're about to get into the flyer, but
yeah, let's get into the flyer. So I came across a flyer. I feel so I was just on r/Birmingham. I was looking for restaurants or something. I don't know what I was doing, and I came across a post that was campaign flyer for Travis Hendrix, and they said that let me see if I can find the post, something about being transphobic. Obviously, Miss Swain is transgender. And let me see if I can find the exact post. There was a lot of campaigning from Sylvia Swain on on Reddit, which is actually smart. I guess it's smart to an extent, I guess, in the sense that you can't always just use Reddit because no one's going to vote on Reddit, but it seems that it is not up anymore. It seems like the post is deleted, but I sent it to you because I wanted to confirm that this was a Hendrix flyer. Turns out it wasn't. It seemed like a badly edited flyer, frankly. But it was a mailer that it was mailed out to people, and it has it was basically, I guess, what was y'all's campaign literature, at one point and then cut in half. Like they put like a line, like an edited line, and then it has two columns, like the thing that says candidate, and then it just goes through Hendrix's background and his experience. Then it goes through Swain's, and at the end of Miss Swain's, it says. So it says, I'll read through all of it. So, candidate moved from Montgomery, has lived in the district less than 5 years, unknown to voters, received more than $50,000 from out-of-state organizations, little to no community service in our community, and then at the bottom, in a different font and color, Sylvia was born to be a white man and lives as a white woman / transgender. So so first thing, I guess from like a campaign perspective, I don't know who made this. I don't know if you have any insight on who made it, but why would they not first like standardize the fonts? If you want to make it believable, you need to get the fonts standardized because this has like 4 different fonts going on. It's clearly edited. I think no one had a doubt it was edited. A lot of people, there's always bad faith actors on social media trying to capitalize whatever. So people were in uproar, but definitely, and there's people that were like, yeah, this is definitely edited. You can tell it's edited. But yeah, so that's the background of that. I'll try to see if I can put a photo of this in the description of the episode so y'all can see it too. But yeah, take us through the flyer. What this was? I sent this to y'all. I sent this to you to verify a couple of days before the election. I think it was like Thursday before the election, something like that. So about half a week before the election. And what how did that go?
So that was it was a very interesting experience, is the way I would describe it. I also saw it on r/Birmingham. I think before you sent it to me, I was actually out canvassing that day when I saw it, and immediately when I saw it, I was just panicked. I was just so panicked, and I knew it wasn't from us, obviously, because, to give a little bit of background, one, Travis has always ran as, a very pro-LGBTQ candidate. It's quite possible that hurt in 2022. When you look at where he won and where he didn't win, that's definitely something that could have hurt him last time. You're supported by the mayor of Birmingham, who has made it a priority to make the city more inclusive to LGBTQ people. I don't think the mayor of Birmingham would endorse a transphobe. You're supported by Josh Coleman, who endorsed as a DNC member, but Josh Coleman also happens to be the president of Central Alabama Pride. I don't think the president of Pride is going to co-sign a transphobe. And it's also I know the man. I know he's not a transphobe, right? So I knew it wasn't from us. My biggest fear was that it was it's from a PAC, it's from a random supporter, it's from potentially even a state rep. It's from one of the state reps supporting us. Those were some of the things that immediately ran through my mind, right? But then when you dig into it, and I don't want this to come off as an accusation. I think it's just a little suspect, right? So, one, you have this flyer. There's only one photo that's ever been circulated anywhere. And we've been able to confirm that it was one flyer. So one flyer went out. It went out to someone in Glen Iris. I know you said the thread has been deleted. If you had gone back through and looked at the person who posted that they got the flyer, it's a Sylvia Swain supporter. I just think it's we would be really stupid to put out one flyer and put it at a Sylvia Swain supporter's house in Glen Iris. We have the voter data. We could have, we know who's supporting her and who isn't. So, the fact that people really thought it was from us was just interesting. And it was definitely a shady flyer because, again, one goes out, nothing on it. It doesn't say committee to elect this person or anything. Nothing in that type of regard is on it. It's not from like an organization or anything. It's literally just what you said of like these things about the candidates, and that's it.
And
So it was definitely a very shady flyer.
so I thought that I saw some people in that thread say that they'd also received one, but I can't remember for sure. I don't know. Okay, but if you guys have confirmed it, then y'all probably have more data than I do. But also, honestly, on the content, there's not much. It's not like if you wanted to make a negative. If it was a pack, they'd probably go more negative. I don't know who made this. Again, I have no knowledge, but just the content of it isn't even like blatantly, frankly transphobic. I don't think. I think it's not. It doesn't really. It's more than anything. It's negative about the candidate, but it's not transphobic. That last line you could, I guess, say transphobic, but I feel like more than anything, it's like more about her having no experience rather than being transgender. I don't know how you feel about that. I didn't really see it as too transphobic. I saw it more of like a really badly done negative ad by whoever did it. I don't know who did it. But how the aftermath of that, how did that, because like, y'all confirmed, I know that as any politician does, you take advantage of this if you're Swain, and goes out. She went out, and I believe she actually made like comment on Reddit too. Actually, she was like, "Yeah, the campaign should denounce this if it's not from them," which you guys ended up doing, I guess later that day. But yeah, so was there any communication between the campaigns during this? Like, were y'all talking about a little bit about what the origin and just like what was going on?
I'm not really privy to any talks between the campaigns surrounding this, just because I'd assume that some talks happened, probably not direct talks, just because at this point, like you're talking a few days before this election, it was very, very bitter. A lot of contempt, I think, both ways.
Oh, I found the thread. Okay, I just
think.
Found it. Perfect.
Oh, you found the thread?
I did. I thought it was deleted. I found it. I searched the wrong keyword. Yeah. Anyways, sorry, go ahead.
What I'll say, what I thought was very weird was she basically came out, like, in her comment and said she didn't think it was us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you have it up, so you could probably see, but, like, she pretty much said, like, she's extending grace to the campaign, and, like, she didn't think it was us. What I thought was very weird was, like, hours after Travis put out his statement, was some of the PAC supporting her coming out and being like, he needs to denounce this. I actually messaged, I think it was LPAC, because they put out a statement saying he needs to come out and denounce this, and I was like, we did 2 hours ago. And so that was another thing that I thought was just very suspicious, that definitely did not make things any better, that people are like harping on us and saying we need to denounce this, that we need to provide an explanation when we did very early on. I think Travis got his statement out within like 30 minutes of discovering it. Like,
yeah,
and it was just a very weird experience.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're gonna do political sabotage, whoever you are out there, whatever campaigns you're working on, make it look good. I mean, like, Canva is free. It's not good. The flyer is objective. I don't know who made that flyer, but they need to use Canva. They should not be doing any misinformation electorally. But if they are going to, which they shouldn't, hypothetically they should use Canva, because it was really badly done, and just the font, like, it took any credence of it being really from any campaign or any group associated with the campaign, which I don't believe it was, just because of how cartoonish it ended up being. They just need to do better, honestly. So yeah, and I mean, let's go into election day. So a bitter campaign, honestly. Like, this is the thing about this campaign, was it was very sleepy going into the primary, and then once both campaigns got their target, it picked up like crazy. And going into the campaign, going into the runoff, I wasn't expecting the turnout we got. For context, the primary had 2,401 votes counted. The runoff ended up having 3,635, so a 150% increase or 50% increase, 150% increase, one of those two numbers, over the course of the primary to the runoff, which I feel like never happens. For context, these other special election on the same day up in District 16 for State House only had 3,234 votes, and that's in a solid Republican race, which there is a Democratic challenger, and they will have a general election. But yeah, actually very high turnout. I know you guys weren't expecting that kind of turnout. How was Election Day for you guys?
Oh man, I can say how it was for me. For me, I was pretty much pumped the whole day because I get turnout updates from from the county chair, right? And just looking at turnout, it looked really good for us. Like when you go precinct by precinct, I thought it was pretty much a sure thing. I didn't think it was going to be as big as it was. I think what I told you on election day was 57%. I feel really good about 57%, and we ended up getting 65. I will say other people on our campaign were significantly more nervous, just because the turnout at Highland Park, at Avondale Public Library, and at Glen Iris were just all higher than we expected. But then by the end of the night, it's turnout at every single precinct is higher than we expected. And so it all kind of evened out.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's always, obviously, first off, it's great that the turnout was that high, just because, this election, this district has been maligned with Fred Plump last time around, who has been indicted. The neighboring district, District 52, John Rogers, just got jailed for, I believe, the same charges as former Representative Plump, and he is also on track to resign his seat, and there will be another special election. So this district has really went through it, not to mention how not gerrymandered necessarily, but kind of gerrymandered, how spread out this district is, like I mentioned earlier before you were on. It's Birmingham, Southside Birmingham is in this, but then it also extends western and into an area that's the same side. It's the district is really poorly drawn, and a lot of this district has been left for dead by the state of Alabama and the representatives. So it's good that while 3,000 is obvious, 3.6K is not the whole district and the whole populace. It's more than you would expect, I feel like, in this race. So I'm glad that people came in and voted. For context, in 2022, midterms year, many more elections on the ballot, 10,000 votes district-wide. I think I would still consider that the low end. So, yeah, shout out to everybody that came out and voted. But, yeah, we have 5 minutes left in the meeting. Apparently, there's a limit on Microsoft Teams. I did not know that. So, yeah, go in through, it might be because I scheduled it for an hour. Anyways, yeah, so Election Day, y'all get the results. Polls close. So, y'all feel pretty good going into the closing of the polls, right? From there, how was it waiting for those results to come in and confirm what you guys probably were figuring at that point?
So what I'll say is waiting for total results to come in, what kind of got irrelevant at a point, right? Because it's we got the first big thing that I saw for us was from Inslee, and the vote total in Inslee was 349 for us to 21 for her. And so I saw that, and I was like, oh yeah, we got this. I got an update from the county chair that was we were basically at 1,200 and she was at 800, and that included all of the big majority white precincts that she had won. So I was like, oh, with those three included, we're winning by 400 votes. We could win by a lot, and we ended up winning by a lot, right around 1,000 votes, right? So
yeah, I mean, y'all,
it was just
yeah, yeah, y'all definitely did a much higher turnout again. Also, I guess in the right areas of the district contributes to a 1,100 vote difference, a very high number. Again, 2/3 of the vote going to Mr. Hendrix, Representative Hendrix, I should say. I gotta used to saying that now. But yeah, I mean, congratulations. I think, I don't know. How does it feel running? This is your first state house race you've been a part of. How did it differ from the county commission? And then we'll get out of here. How is the? Yeah.
It's my first state house race win. It's the first win I've been a part of.
Okay.
I've been involved in some L's. Feels incredible. I'm so excited that District 55 has a representative who primarily is not going to have to resign early on in the term. I'm very excited for Travis that he gets to fill out pretty much a full term. I mean, there's 3 years left on this term, 3 sessions left on this term. So, like, the world is really his oyster, you know. He has a lot of time to do a lot of stuff. And I'm just excited it was us, you know.
Yeah. Congratulations, I guess. I mean, like, yeah, you get to miss that first year in Montgomery where people put in whatever bills they want. But now going into the last 3 years of the session, things start to heat up, as we all know that people wait for the last couple of years for things to really start cooking in the legislature. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to Representative Hendrix. We were trying to get him on today. Couldn't make it happen. We will eventually get to speak with the newest member of the Alabama State Legislature, Travis Hendrix. But today, Stephen Anthony, thank you for being here, Stephen. Good seeing you. And yeah, good talking to you. As for us, and where can everybody find you if you want to be found? I don't know. Any plugs?
I have no plugs, but you should follow UAB College Dems.
UAB College Dems. They did host the debate, so yeah, give them a follow if you're in the area. They do put on cool events like that, real-time events. For us, y'all know where to find us, pbpolitical.com, pbpolitical.al, and the PB Political Podcast on all the platforms. Thank y'all for listening. I'm Eshan Pokhrel, and goodbye.